So, the 2023 Royal Rumble event has come and gone. What are my opinions on it? Kind of mixed. I was a little stumped as to why the men's Rumble kicked off the show. I mean, given how bad, from what I've heard, the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match was, should have started with that one. I mean, only 5 minutes, best to get that one out of the way. What we saw was Gunther nearly go wire to wire, going 71 minutes, and Cody winning in 15. Now, while I'm happy that my prediction that Cody win the Rumble came true, here's the trade-off issue I have with it. They had him enter the match last. Wouldn't it have made more sense to have him wear himself out by entering a little earlier in the match? I mean, give him like number 15, even the 22, that would have been fine. I was just a little pissed off that for the second year in a row, the guy they want to win is the last man to enter the match. I mean, that's slated to win is the last man to enter the match. Bianca versus Alexis was okay from what I saw, what little I caught. And as for the women's Rumble, not as predictable as the men's one, but still, I was a little shocked that both Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan went wire to wire. Granted, it was Rhea who came out on top, and now she's going to WrestleMania. Who is she going to face? Roxanne, Charlotte, or Bianca? My bet's Bianca. Though it wouldn't surprise me if she goes after Charlotte. She's not going after Roxanne, no question about that. I mean, I'm not putting my money that she goes after Roxanne and for the NXT Women's title. Regardless, we had some returns. We had Logan Paul come back, Edge come back, aside from Cody, of course, in the men's match. We had Booker T enter the Rumble. So not a lot of surprises in this year's on the men's side of the Rumble. And for that matter, not so many on the women's side. Outside Michelle McCool coming in from the crowd, and Nia Jax being the last woman in, though she jumped the gun to enter the match, even though she jumped the gun, so to speak. But thankfully, the other 11 women that were left in the match when she got in know that Nia is the most unsafe worker in the company, and it's best to get her out. And to get her out as fast as possible. And they did just that. My thoughts on some of the other happenings within either of the Rumbles. Rey Mysterio getting mugged and stripped of his mask by either his son Dominic or the entirety of Judgment Day. Does anyone other than me see this as WWE basically repeating the Kane and Undertaker beats that led into their match at WrestleMania 14? For those who don't get where I'm going with this, let me explain. Bad Blood 97 was the debut of Kane. The storyline was he would continue to attack wrestler after wrestler until The Undertaker agreed to fight him one-on-one. Throughout this whole storyline, Undertaker swore on the graves of his parents he would not, kayfabe parents, not as real ones, as far as I know are still alive, that he would not fight Kane. After a ruse of uniting with his brother prior to the Royal Rumble in lieu of the Undertaker's casket match for the title against Shawn Michaels, and then Kane attacking the Undertaker and then stuffing him in the casket, locking him in it, pouring gas into the coffin, and then setting it ablaze, the Undertaker vanished from the casket. He would be gone for the next 2 months. It wouldn't be until around 3 weeks until WrestleMania, Undertaker said he had done some soul searching and was visiting the graves of his parents to console and ask for their forgiveness for what he was about to do, fight his younger brother. Dominic, on the other hand, turned on Ray at Clash of the Castle, and Ray has gone out of his way to do everything he can to not fight his son. However, with what happened last night, a line that should never be crossed in lucha libre culture, has been crossed. It's going to take at least a month or two for Ray to console with his wife and his daughter. That come WrestleMania, Ray is left with no choice. The straw that has broken the camel's back has fallen on him. Now, Ray will fight his son at WrestleMania. He didn't want to do it, but it's gone too far. When you rip the mask off a luchador like that, that's crossing a line. That crosses a line. Dominic broke his own family's lucha code. The mask is sacred, and ripping it off of a luchador's face is an insult. Ray, I'm sorry, but now you have to fight your son. Punish him at WrestleMania. Now, as for the Universal title match, I pretty much knew Kevin was going to lose, with Roman taking at least a couple of shortcuts and then basically stomping him one if it's a shortcut from which Kevin never recovers from. In this case, a low blow with the ref knocked down, getting his head thrown into the steps twice, speared through the barricade, and then speared in the ring for the final pin. But what happened afterward is what intrigues me. Beat down on Kevin, handcuffed in the ropes, and Roman, who's basically been treating Sammy like a little kid who needs to be punished, or a dog on a leash, decides to let Sammy swing the chair at Kevin. However, he swings it at Roman, and the whole bloodline pounces on him. I think at this point now, Sammy has finally gotten the scales pulled over his eyes. Being an honorary Uso in the bloodline, not worth it. It was never worth it. And with the way Jay felt pity and didn't partake in the beatdown, I think Jay Uso is also getting the scales pulled off his eyes. Because for 2.5 years, since October of 2020, Jay has been nothing but Roman's lapdog, at least in my opinion. He once did this with pride. But now, I think Jay is finally realizing what being in Roman's bloodline really is. What is it? I'll show you. It's now, to Roman and to Jay, little more than this. A dog collar. It's nothing more than a dog collar. Now, I've openly stated I'm not a fan of overdue long-term storytelling. Like, when I want a good story told, I prefer it in wrestling. I prefer it to be done in the short term. Case in point, the Chris Jericho Ocho reign as Ring of Honor World Champion near the end of last year, which was short-term storytelling. Good short-term storytelling. Why? Because there weren't that many world champions that AEW and Warner Discovery was going to allow Jericho to go after. I mean, another one that slipped in my mind that they would not let him go after, and would not let him put the title up against, was the late Jamin Pugh, aka Jay Briscoe, for reasons of a tweet of in-character tweets he posted against the LGBTQIA plus community about 10 years ago. Jay had openly apologized for those tweets, and yet they wouldn't let the tribute show go through. Bunch of fucking hypocrites are Warner Discovery. That being said, where did I get the whole line of Jay getting ready to say, I used to wear this shirt with pride? You know, the We the Ones or the Bloodline portrait t shirts you can get on WWEshop.com. But after what you did to Sammy Saturday night, would it surprise me if he said this on SmackDown? No. Will he say this on SmackDown? No. Would it surprise me if he did? Yes. But now I see this for what this really is. For what it really is. A collar. It's a collar, Oos. It's nothing but a damn dog collar. Nothing but a damn dog collar, Oos. You treat me like nothing but a dog. This was never about the family, Jimmy, Solo, or anyone. It was about you and you alone, Roman. I quit. Sammy attacking Roman is basically the first domino that's been knocked over that's going to lead to the death of the bloodline. And in my opinion, finally leads to the death of the bloodline. I don't mean they all die of cardiac arrest, whether it be by the vaccines or any COVID vaccines they all took or anything else. More so for Roman, since he's immunocompromised due to past leukemia diagnosis. Past diagnosis of leukemia. But I mean more so in the way of the bloodline disbands. We know we're getting Sammy versus Roman at the Elimination Chamber on February the 18th. A match where Sammy's going to get his ass kicked. And get his ass kicked badly. But as far as I'm concerned, that's the night where it's Jay's turn to say, fuck you to Roman. I want out. I'm done with this. I mean, because this little deal with what Jay's going through now, with what happened to Sammy last night, it's going to eat away at him. And depending on when they have to defend the SmackDown tag titles, whether it's against Strowman and Ricochet, or if it's against Imperium. It'll probably be Strowman and Ricochet. It's probably going to be against Strowman and Ricochet if one were to ask me. At that point, Roman's going to start questioning Jay's mental state. And this is where more of the tyrannical bully comes out in Roman. And come Elimination Chamber, where if we get the same setup on Sammy that we had on Kevin last night at the Royal Rumble, will Jay have the cojones to do the same thing Sammy did? Or will he go through and clock Sammy in the head with a chair while he's handcuffed to the ropes? I'm hoping the former, but my gut is saying the latter. But by that point, Jimmy leaves the bloodline. But by that point, Jimmy will either leave the bloodline and take his brother's side or stay with his cousin and beat down on his brother. Personally, I'm more hoping the former in that case. They may all be blood, but Roman's only blood to Jimmy through marriage. Jay is direct blood. And as far as I'm concerned, direct blood is thicker than marital blood. And no one could blame me for saying that. Could they? So you hear me, Joe? What you did to Sammy last night? The first domino to your demise has been knocked over. Cody's coming at WrestleMania. Justice is coming at WrestleMania. And your empire, it's starting to fall. I hope at WrestleMania, your reign of terror finally dies. Because once those tag titles go, your paranoia causes your sanity to crack like the egg that it is, little by little. And then you lose the Raw tag titles. And then all you got left is Solo. And if he's busy at WrestleMania, he's not going to be able to help you. And your little wise man, Paul Heyman, he's nothing but a fucking cowardly leech who clung to you and who has done nothing but cling to you for 2.5 years. He is a parasite and a cancer you need to cut. And when Cody gets those titles off you at Mania, whether it's just one or both, to become the Universal Champion, and Trips and Vince, I'm warning you, if you do not make Cody the champion, you're going to have a riot on your fucking hands. You're going to have a riot from the fan base, not just me, on your damn hands. Even though I don't get my hands dirty in those kinds of things. But the point is still applicable, Vince. I never wanted you to come back to the WWE. Because to you, this company is nothing but a drug. I mean, you're 77 years old, Vince. Just go away. A long way away. It's time for the Rhodes family to finally get something they never did with either Dusty or Dustin. And that's the big prize. I'm sorry if I've gotten a little off track. It's just that the WWE pisses me off so bad. People who complain about New Japan and Japanese wrestling being stuck in certain time loops, and that's a justifiable claim. I mean, New Japan's one of the biggest guilty. Noah and New Japan are two of the biggest guilty parties in that regard. But the WWE is just as guilty, but in their case, it's nepotism to certain lineages, to certain wrestling families, specifically the Anoa'i. Anyway, I've got nothing else left to say. Is the time coming that the Bloodline finally disbands? Yes, I do believe it is. With Sammy gone, that's the first domino. Next one to go will be Jay, then Jimmy. Don't know when Solo is gonna go, but when Roman's got nothing left because he believes everyone turned against him, Roman, Joe, you did that yourself. Your paranoia, your long reign, your paranoia, and lust for control took everything away from you. At WrestleMania, it all comes crumbling down. Leave a comment, smash a like, sub to the channel. Mets2128 signing out. Goodbye. Good fucking night. Bang.